Today we're talking about the WWE Draft, and we're looking really closely at some of these superstars that are must moves. Superstars that have had their time on either Raw, Smackdown, NXT, and we feel like they really need to have a new change of scenery. The first one we're talking about is going to be Bianca Belair. I feel like with Bianca, she got over to Smackdown. Nothing ever really happened with her in the last year. I think that they were probably going towards the Bianca-Charlotte feud until Charlotte got injured and they were teaming up a little bit. Bianca always felt like on SmackDown for the last year or whatever, that she was kind of in the back seat a little bit. And then, yeah, she got to heat things up, and then Jade came in and they had the tag team of Jade and Bianca and Naomi at WrestleMania, the trios match, which was a lot of fun, but I don't think like she's done a whole heck of a lot after that. And I think that Bianca should go over to Monday Night Raw, and there's a couple of reasons for it. One, I think that there is probably going to be pieces in place on Raw that would better suit her as a babyface. So I think that she could go over to Raw and they could easily reignite the feud between her and Becky Lynch. Two faces, who's the best, do it one more time, that kind of thing. Go again at SummerSlam if Rhea isn't ready. You could also have Bianca versus Liv Morgan and try to get Liv built up even more as a big heel. That would be a good foil for Bianca, and it could showcase Liv some more. The other main one is like looking at WrestleMania 41, and I think it would be Bianca versus Rhea Ripley, and Rhea is your champion. And then you end up having Bianca maybe win against Rhea, but the Bianca-Rhea match is something I think WWE wants to build towards. They teased it last year. We didn't get it. They were both champions. I think you get both of them on the same brand, and that's the match that you want to work towards. Because I don't see her staying on SmackDown and going up against Bayley. Charlotte could return and they might be able to do something there. I just feel like everything on SmackDown was done, or you'd have to really shift things around on SmackDown to get a lot of new heels in there. But I think Bayley will be champion for a while too. The next name I think is a must move. It's your boy, LA Knight. Yeah. So I think LA Knight he's done everything he can on SmackDown. And kind of like Bianca, I think that you'd have to move a lot of stuff around on SmackDown to get LA Knight to really shine and go even higher. LA Knight had a massive breakout year in 2023, and he was like a fan favorite and still is for so many people over on SmackDown. But I feel like he's not gonna beat Cody for that belt. And is he gonna beat Logan Paul? He could. It'd actually be a match I wanted to see. I wanted to see that at WrestleMania. But if they don't do that, then like he's not gonna get to that top tier title scene like I think he should. That's where I think the move to Monday Night Raw is way better for LA Knight for a few reasons. One, more promo time. LA Knight is just so entertaining on the microphone in my opinion. I love hearing him talk, and on SmackDown for the last couple of months, I haven't gotten a lot of that. He's been feuding with AJ Styles, which is hilarious, the whole like get in your house kind of thing. But they haven't had LA Knight really being able to flush him out even more. And I think with 3 hours on Monday Night Raw, you can do that. You can do a lot more with LA Knight over on Monday Night Raw. You could also get him into the Intercontinental title scene. Him versus Sami Zayn would be kind of cool. Him versus Jey Uso. They're gonna bring over more heels that he can go up against. LA Knight, you can kind of flip-flop around a little bit. You can turn him heel, but he's a supremely over babyface. And the main thing is that I think LA Knight could move to Raw and immediately get inserted into the World Heavyweight title scene. I think he can hang with that scene at the very top over on Raw. I think he could go up against Damian Priest and they could put on a pretty good feud. I think that would be fun to see LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre, LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. CM Punk would be interesting, but I think you could get a lot of fun promos and content out of that, dialogue, and then the matches will be pretty good. But it would give LA Knight more of a shot to get into main event level versus just at the mid card and kind of spinning his wheels a little bit over on SmackDown. Next up on the women's side needs to go from Raw to SmackDown in my opinion, Nia Jax. I think Nia Jax did everything she could coming back in her second run with WWE on Monday Night Raw. I don't think there's anything else for her to do. And Becky is on Monday Night Raw. She's staying there. Probably Rhea Ripley as well when she gets back and then they draft her and she just ends up on Raw is my guess. I don't think you need to do those two feuds again. Those are the main feuds. So is Nia then going to stay on Raw and kind of spin her wheels in this nebulous mid-card area? There's no mid-card belt, which is what they actually need. Someone like Nia Jax could be a mid-card champion, like a US or Intercontinental champion on the women's side, but we don't have that. And I don't see her in a tag team, so that's not happening. So I think that you should move Nia Jax over to SmackDown and get her in title contention against Bayley. Nia versus Bayley for like 2 months, 3 months could be a lot of fun. I've actually enjoyed Nia's work in this last run. I haven't enjoyed Nia Jax before that, but I think Promos, a little bit better. And I think her coming in, being much more dominant, has worked for her. But I think she's kind of gone through the division on Raw. SmackDown would be a lot more fun if she could fight Bayley and really be a good contender, and eventually maybe even win the women's championship, so that she could be like a Mark Henry type where she's just dominant. Just world heavyweight champion, just dominant, and she's just holding that belt for a long, long time. And you need to build Nia to that point and not just put her in squash matches. Next up is a faction. There's a lot of factions in WWE right now, a ton of them. And one that I want to see get a really clean, good push as a strong heel faction is going to be Final Testament. I'm a big fan of Mr. Karrion Kross, shout out to Kross, but I think that they need a much more clear-cut path. I think on SmackDown, I think that they did everything they could with the Pride and Bobby Lashley and their whole group, and they lost at WrestleMania in a very fun match. I had a lot of fun watching that Extreme Rules match, but I don't feel like they got anything else to do on SmackDown, and I don't want to keep seeing them lose. I know that they've been showing up on NXT. There's a good chance that they'll end up over there. If they do go to NXT, Kross could be fighting for NXT Championship. He could be a contender there. But I think that if you moved him over to Raw, you can let the faction breathe more. You can get AOP into the tag title division more established in there, especially now that we have split the tag team titles. You can have Miz and R-Truth going up against a scary, dominant, giant team in AOP. You can have Karrion Kross fighting Sami Zayn for the IC title, fighting Jey Uso, fighting other faces in there, and it can work. And I can see Karrion Kross fighting for the world title at some point, going up against a strong babyface. Also, Scarlett, she just needs to wrestle. Just let her wrestle. But I think Final Testament, like the ingredients are all there with that group. I like it. I just don't feel like it's fully been realized or clicked, gone all the way. And I think you need to finally kind of get that on track and not have them lose as a faction, as this like lower to mid card faction. Do more with them, build them up with stronger characters that people are scary that Final Testament is coming in because they're probably gonna win. The next superstar I think needs a change. He's done kind of everything he can do on Raw and SmackDown, and I think it's time they go to NXT. Shinsuke Nakamura. I think Shinsuke's time on main roster, I don't know what else he can do on Raw and SmackDown if he went either way. On Raw, I've liked this change and updated character with Shin. He's been a more aggressive heel. I love the video packages they do with all of the captions, and it's all moody and it's scary, but he loses. They have Shinsuke lose, so he doesn't win the big match. And on SmackDown, you gonna do it again? And it's just the same thing. They haven't positioned him to win belts, to win feuds. So I think if you move Shinsuke down to NXT again, I don't even want to say moving down, because WWE is going to and is positioning NXT in the future as trying to do it as a proper third brand. They got the deal with CW. They're going to want to load up NXT with star power and have enough big players over there that are recognizable, that will tune in, that want to see names that they're familiar with from Raw and SmackDown, and Shinsuke is one of them. And you have him stay as that heel character, you give him a little bit more creativity, and you can have him get elevated right away and be an NXT champion. You can have Trick versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and it's a great adversary for Trick. There's cool stuff you can do with Shinsuke, and I think if you have him as this scary character coming into NXT again to reclaim his NXT championship, it could be one of those characters that people don't want to mess with. You have him out there once a week, and he can just dominate. So I think Shin NXT would totally work. And somebody from NXT that I think is gonna go or should go, to must go, to SmackDown, Dijak. I love Dijak. Dijak's such a fun character. Not T-Bar. None of that. But I like Dijak a lot in NXT, and similar to other people, like even a Carmelo Hayes, who I don't have on this list, but yes, Carmelo is a must move as well. It's been long enough, and I think they've done enough with Carmelo, but for Dijak, similar idea. Came into NXT, gave him a refresh for the character, he's flushed it out more, he puts on great matches, and kind of like a lot of people, like you either keep him in NXT because you want to anchor that show when it goes over to CW, and you got some more established characters and names, but at the same time, you gotta move these people and these pieces up a little bit. Dijak on SmackDown would be a lot of fun. You can do him versus Logan Paul, but Logan Paul's this slimy heel. But you could have Dijak come in and fight Kevin Owens, fight Randy Orton. He can challenge Cody Rhodes and lose, but establish him more as an upper mid-card player or even a contender. It just depends what Triple H wants to do with a guy like that. But he's got the size, he's got a great look, and he's fun in the ring. So I think you can establish Dijak a little bit more, Give him some fun 10-minute matches on SmackDown. And the last name on my list, before I say that, guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel here. If you guys can, you like what we do here, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button because it goes a long way to help us grow and do more on the channel. The last name I have, Ilya Dragunov. I think Dragunov goes to Monday Night Raw. It's a must move, and I kind of hope that it's going to be Gunther on Raw as well. And they can either feud or you have it, Dragunov joining Imperium, and then eventually turns, they do a new Imperium 2.0. Giovanni Vinci's gone. So then you're going to do Kaiser, and you're going to do Ilya and Gunther, and they're all going to be running all roughshod over WWE Raw. Ilya can start going after the IC title against Sammy, which will be a banger match. Jey Uso, whoever the hell else they want to put up against Ilya, he can go for the IC title, Gunther can go for the world title, and then Kaiser can do other things around there. Maybe he gets a new tag partner, I don't know. Kaiser's good too, he should be breaking out too. Maybe he gets drafted. Maybe Kaiser goes to SmackDown on his own. Ooh, that'd be fun. Tiffany Stratton's over there. They're a thing. Tiffy time. Anyways, Dragunov. I think Dragunov goes to Raw because the feud, if he does end up with Gunther on the same brand, that is a match you want to have. The other thing you can do with Dragunov to build him up, get him exposure on the main roster, he's had like one match where they brought him into Raw, which was cool. But if you want to like fast track a guy like Dragunov to the main WWE main roster audience, have him go into King of the Ring. You got the draft, you're gonna do this draft next week, Backlash, then have Dragunov show up in the first round of the King of the Ring tournament, Gunther being in there too. I think you get Dragunov in there and you have him go the distance. Doesn't win, and maybe he does lose to somebody like Gunther, who either wins the whole thing or goes to the finals for someone else. But have Dragunov go far. Put Dragunov in 10-15 minute banger matches every single week on TV, and that will help establish him with the audience to get familiar with him more, to know what he can do, what he's capable of, and does a lot of cool, fun stuff. And he can be that like new guy, underdog almost, if he's going through the King of the Ring tournament and people get more familiar with him and they invest in him a lot more. Then you have him lose. It's okay because you got him a little bit more established. Then you flush out his character more, give him the promo time, let him work with guys like Gunther and Imperium and see what he can do. And then you can get a really strong mid-card champion, Intercontinental champion. And that way, if you do it in the King of the Ring tournament, you've established him a lot quicker. But the main question is, who's on your list? Who needs to move? Who needs to go from Raw, SmackDown, NXT? What are your must moves, must picks? Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you like this, click this video right here because we've got more WWE content coming at you. Have a great day. See ya.